The Handball Federation, more than most federations in Nigeria, is regarded as probably one of the better run, with some of the most, well laid down development plans, and it has been showing over the last few years. And a lot of it has been pointed in your direction, and everybody says that the brains behind the revampment, the redevelopment, the redesignation of Nigerian handball has to do with Samuel Cheho and his board. How does that make you feel when you hear things like that?
First of all, I would not like to take the glory alone. So everything, the success of handball in Nigeria today can be put on the feet of the board, because if the environment is not good enough, then we will not be able to do stuff. We'll not be able to think. We'll just continue to politic and all. So I'd like to say thank you to my board for making the environment conducive for us to do things together.
Well, the grand finale of the ARDOVA Handball League comes up this weekend. Of course, everybody's looking forward to that. But before we get to that, let's talk about Nigeria's handball past, its present, where we are now, and what is the future prospects of Nigerian handball. Thankfully, you'll be honoring some of our heroes past who have done remarkably well for Nigerian handball. A particular feat that a lot of people have said that is long overdue. Now, for those who really don't know, handball has actually been played in Nigeria since way back, as far back as the late 60s. It's not something that happened in 73. And there was like a law in terms of the development of the sport, because it almost seemed as if it was removed from the curriculum of physical education. So where is handball now in Nigeria in terms of what we're doing currently, your board is doing, and what are the future prospects for the sport?
Well, as we all know, once upon a time, handball was like the second most popular team sport in Nigeria.
True.
I mean, in the 70s, in the 80s, handball was very, very popular. A lot of people were playing the game. If you saw the kind of players that we had then, they were players with size, I mean, very, very big kind of players who were able to compete favorably with the North Africans at that point in time. And over time, I think with successive government, we started finding the fact that there was a lull in the sport, especially in the late 90s into 2000s and all. We witnessed some lull in the sport. But again, be that as it may, things did not go as we planned, and so the game itself started witnessing some drop in terms of the status, if I may put it. And over time, the game clearly went into coma. But since we came on board, what we did was to try and resurrect the sport again by organizing grassroots programs on the 12, on the 15, on the 18, on the 21 games. We had Sokoto State government who sponsored it for 3 years, you know, especially on the 12, on the 15. And since then, the underage competition was producing enough players for us. It became like the bedrock or the factory for producing younger players. And then the International Handball Federation also came up with the IHF trophy, which was for developing nation. In that tournament, the IHF will pay for your ticket, will pay for your registration to just show up.
So that was how and why the Nigerian under-18 women's team managed to go to China?
No, the China is the World Championship. Okay. So that's they qualify to go there.
To go there. Okay.
When you go to the World Championship, you take care of yourself. For IHF to pay for you, you have to be champion of the IHF trophy at the intercontinental stage.
Okay.
If you remember, we went to Uzbekistan for the IHF trophy finals, the intercontinental stage, but we came second. Kosovo defeated us in the final. So IHF took care of Kosovo to the World Championship in China. For China, it was fully sponsored by the board of the Handball Federation of Nigeria.
And gentlemen, you want to talk?
Of course, there's plenty
so
to say.
much to talk.
I wanted to start by saying that calling him Mr. is is for us.
But I am
because he's a chief.
No, I don't have that title. I am simply...
Okay, impending chief.
We can make it as simple as Sam.
Anyway, but I want to commend you and your board for what you've been able to do. And of course, project into how we can sustain the gains of trying to get handball back to where it should be. In those days, as you said, handball was the second most popular team sport because our sports fields those days, we had a big field.
Yeah, now you had the handball pitch.
And then we had the handball pitch.
Where we used to play sets.
Where the junior students will be playing football.
Yeah,
you know,
sets.
after the handballers had done their bit, then you junior students will move to the small pitch and be playing while the big boys are on the big pitch. So that was the foundation for handball in Nigeria at that time. So there's still a long way to go. Football is still there as number one. Handball has dropped off as number two. So
we're coming back up.
Yeah, on the way back up. So I was going to ask, how are we going to sustain this going forward, particularly in the area of funding? Because I know, I've worked in the ministry, and I know that what happens to handball is almost like zero funding from government. I don't know whether I'm correct or not, but I know there's pressure on funds from the ministry, and it's only for the top sports like the football, the basketball, athletics, and so very little is remaining for the other sports. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad Tony said he worked in the ministry. He's one of those people that I need to
hold very well.
Hold and fight against, because they didn't provide funds for handball. But it is what it is. It's been very difficult, I must say. Funding remains one of the most, the difficult challenge that we have to try
to walk around.
You know, I understand the government not funding our federation programs. But what I don't understand is how the government cannot fund international events.
Competitions.
Especially when it comes to World Championship and African Cup of Nations. These things are things that are planned over years, throw budgets into it, and still, every time you hear no funding. Well, I don't want to come on air and start crying over spilled milk. That is what it is. We'll keep trying our best to look at sponsorship. We have done that for our federation program. And as you know, handball seems to be one of the sports that had a title sponsor for its league over the last 7 years.
Yeah.
The ARDOVA, from Prudent to ARDOVA, they've been very consistent with handball. And honestly, I must really appreciate them for what they've done for the development of handball. Most of the times we've had it good with handball, where times we had title sponsors. If you remember the Malta Guinness time in those days, you see how our national team was progressing and fighting at the very top. But after we left out, when we lost the title sponsor, things started going down. Now we've gotten a title sponsor again, and we can see ourselves going back up. I pray that we continue in this regard. We need more sponsors for the game. I'm glad that we've been able to do well with ARDOVA. They are currently very happy with us. I hope they keep being happy with us, and I hope that they continue to sponsor the league so that because handball needs that sustainability. Without the league, without competitions, it will be very, very difficult to unearth players. And everything we're doing, for me, I prefer us playing the under-8 championship because it becomes a factory for really developing talents, newer talents into the game. And when you have newer talents coming up, it then gives you a more competitive senior national team. We'll just keep fighting, keep doing what we need to do, keep looking for sponsors for the game so that it can help develop the game.
Wale, any question?
Oh yeah, I wanted to say that 26 years as a seasoned financial expert also, helps.
Oh yeah, it helps. Absolutely.
The financial relationships we've had, different portfolios definitely have
played its part. Yeah.
Handball in this, and I'm saying this because of probably Gen Z who is probably watching right now. I'm like, okay, I don't know this. And quickly
I don't know this sport. Okay, his name.
And quickly Guru Samochi. I think the first is going to see is this. say financial, I mean, how's the relationship with handball?
Yeah.
I like to know how he's been able to marry that. You know, then crucially, I speak for the Gen Z. I'm not Gen Z though, I'm a millennial, but I've always talked about consistently on the show how sports like this need to generate a younger set of fans. They can also help grow the sport. Do you have any plans to also push handball? You've talked about grassroots, you know, at the handball itself. But what about the followership? What are the plans to ensure that handball can develop a brand new set of fans?
Well, as you can see, I think we've been very active on social media. There was something someone said on a platform which I belong, the Family United by Sport. I think once the individual clearly does not know the impact of what he said. And this is, if I'm to mention him, it's actually Colin Udo. I think on that platform, he came at one time and said, look, does anyone know anything about handball? I need to get, I don't see any online presence for handball. And when I saw it, I said, wow. And that was the early years, I think the first year of my tenure in 2017. And I said, wow, okay, this is something.
This is something that I need to work on.
I didn't make any comment at all, but I just took on the challenge and said, look, our online presence needed to be good. And today we're on TikTok, we are on Facebook, we are on Instagram, and
on X as well.
I mean,
all the platforms that the Gen Z use, basically.
Yeah. So, and because we needed to speak to a new set of people, we needed to popularize the game. Today, without this social media thing, it would be difficult to popularize. So we thought that was a good platform for us to start. And when we started that, I guess that's when people started calling me the digital president. It makes me laugh. It makes me laugh whenever they call me that. But that was because we started engaging on social media platform. The Gen Zs are very pivotal to whatever we are doing because they are the future of the game. And if we are not able to capture that followership, then of course we would have missed out.
I need to ask you this question because it's great to see that actually a lot of people don't know, but the same way there are actually professional football players outside the country playing in foreign clubs, there are quite a number of professional handball players of Nigerian origin who play in foreign clubs as well, which is really in foreign leagues.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I'm bringing this point because just recently we've been celebrating how the Fencing Federation of Nigeria managed to basically secure a wonderful deal, cross-cultural deal with the Italian counterparts, which will include exchange programs, coaching programs, anything that can help to improve fencing in Nigeria. Now, looking at the Handball Federation, you look at the top handball countries in the world. There's Germany, there's Denmark, and believe it or not, Egypt is the #1 handball country in the world. 41 international titles. Just our neighbors here. Is there any plan by the federation to probably create some kind of technical partnership with the Egyptians, which will see us improve in terms of our coaching, our technique? So I know they are the #1. They don't want us to get as good as them, but at least if we can bridge the gap a little. Is there any plans towards that?
We started something with the Egyptian Handball Federation.
Okay.
The then president is no more the president, so there's a bit of lull with that. Because during the COVID era, we got the president of the Egyptian Handball Federation and the Angolan Handball Federation. Because in Africa, Egypt is #1 for male, while Angola is #1 for female. We got the president to speak to our people about the development of handball, how they developed the game. It was a virtual program, and it was very good because most of the things they were telling us were technically things we knew or we know. But again, funding plays a major part in that. In terms of developing a technical relationship with some of these top handballing nations, I mean, that is in progress. Even the IHF themselves, International Handball Federation, are very much interested in the development of handball in Nigeria. They've asked me to come up with a paper on how we can do some technical centers across some zones in Nigeria. I'd written a program to them initially. I was talking about the 6 zone, but they're saying, why don't we start with 2? So that discussion is still ongoing. Also thinking of partnering with if I look at it, one of our top exports today is in France. We're looking at how we can work with this club to see it's something that we are talking. I don't want to start.
So that's definitely in the pipeline.
Yeah. It is.
Okay, so finally, before we let you go, finale of the ARDOVA Handball Premier League this weekend as well. It's all come down to this. Some really excellent. It's been a long season for a lot of these clubs. Everybody's waiting for the champions to be crowned. Have you been impressed with this so far? And also looking at your medium to long term plan for handball in Nigeria. What would you like to tell us about that?
Well, I mean, I'm very impressed with the league. It gives me joy seeing what is happening in the league. I mean, say if I look at the female, Safety Babes have been I think they've gone about 15 games since 52 games.
They are not making it safe for anybody at all.
They are really not making it safe for anybody. It's like there's nobody ready to take the
challenge. What about the rise of Imo Grasshoppers, one of the legendary teams of Nigerian handball? That's been heartwarming for me.
Well,
they still have some waking up to do anyway.
For now,
at least they're hopping.
For now, they have a lot of waking up to do, and I think they still need to go back and start getting younger players to join the fold. You'll be shocked that some of the players from the past are still there.
Wow, from those eras?
Slugging it.
No,
not the era of the 90s. When they were dominant. Yeah, some of them are still. So I think they need to be able to mix it up with some bit of youth, and they would probably bounce back. But I'm happy to see new teams challenging for the title, especially in the male category. As of today, Tuji Marine Handball Academy that started only about 3 years ago is topping the league. We'll see if they make it as the #1 team on Sunday. But it's been giving me joy because I'm seeing upset. I'm seeing younger players rising through the rank. I mean, nothing else can give you more joy. In terms of short, medium term plans, like I said, we still want to continue with our under-8 championship. We still want to look for technical partnership. We're still looking for funding, which is very key to us. And on the long-term plan, we'll see how that goes after 2025.
Okay. Maybe that was why he said on another platform, I saw that. That's it. We should forget 2028 Olympics. The bigger picture is 2032.
You said that?
Yeah.
For handball. Look, that is for Nigeria to play at the handball event.
Hold on. I mean, we had a Nigerian team that did decently in Ethiopia just recently. They won that. And interestingly, one of your players is quite the savant. He also plays for the Nigerian men's basketball team.
Yeah.
So why did you say 2032?
2028 is too close. Let's not deceive ourselves. Egypt is one of the top 5 nations in the world. It's just one slot for Africa.
Wow.
For now.
Wow.
You're not just going to dethrone them overnight. They are not
sleeping.
They are not sleeping.
And you mentioned something earlier on about size. It seems as if size plays some kind of confer some kind of competitive advantage.
There's a reason why basketball has size. There's a reason why volleyball has size.
Even football.
And handball.
Should we think of team basketballers as even handball players?
Think of football. Is size not beginning to play a major factor? Talk more of handball where you have to jump.
If you think we're lagging behind in that respect,
I think we're still lagging behind. We're coming up gradually. We're beginning to scout for people with size, but we still have a long way to go in that. I mean, the idea, like next year, what I'm planning for myself is, even if it's on a personal basis, I want to do like a big man camp at secondary school level. I want to look at children who have the potential to grow significant, and also start teaching them the basic at the youthful age. I think one of the things we've gotten wrong is that most of our players who have size are people who picked at ages 20, 18.
Wow, so they picked up the sport really late.
Yeah, so you want to start getting people from junior secondary school who are already thinking of being 6-footers. You can imagine
if you have a 16-year-old or a 14-year-old who's 6'1", that's size.
When you start teaching the basic at that young age, you'll be able to assimilate the basic, and that can only give you a real, added advantage when they grow in the game.
Sorry, but a final one from me. You are going to be honoring some of these legends of the game. We've talked a lot about the Gen Zs, but let's also talk about those who have served us in the past and the Alpha generation.
Our heroes past.
Our heroes past. Tell us a little bit about these people that we're seeing on the screen. What's the idea behind trying to recognize these people?
I mean, like you said, these are heroes past. What we're trying to do is to honor the first set of national team players who participated in the All-African Games in 1973.
Wow.
I mean, a lot of them.
Where were you in 1973, Wally?
You know,
That was a concept.
I saw them at the stadium today. I saw the joy on their face, and I was so glad we made it happen. You know, some of them, when they started walking in and they were seeing their colleagues, you could see the joy. They were dancing and all, and I was glad. You know, we nearly did not do this because of funding, but we just thought, look, whatever it takes, let's just do it and honor them. And subsequently, we'll start honoring the ones from the 80s and all until we get there. I think it is very good for us to think back and say, who are the people that really served this game? Give them some form of honor. It doesn't necessarily have to be something of high value.
Just recognition.
You know, that recognition goes a long way in change. Who knows? It might add some few years to their life.
Absolutely. I'd like to take off from what you said. The labors of our heroes past should never be in vain. I'm speaking of heroes. The current heroes now are still playing in the ARDOVA Handball Premier League, and these are the results from today's games. Yeah, I think there was a walkover. Conference Stars didn't show up.
They didn't show up. So Conference people didn't show up again.
It is what it is. Adama Warriors.
Yeah, it's the newspaper. It's also, I'm also from Kogi.
Our people. We need to investigate that. Adama Warriors and Sunshine Kings played out a 34-34 draw. It's interesting. You rarely see draws in handball. So when you do see one, it's always a point of note. Benue Buffaloes went down to 23-21 to Lagos Seaside as the defenders also lost to Kano Pillars 27-31, while Niger United were also defeated 28-18 by Toje Marine. That's in the men's results. Do we have the women's results from games played? Yes, there we go. COS Babes showing why they are showing military position, if I may say. 25-22 winners over Plateau Peacocks, while Bendel Dynamos lost 33-17 to Rivers Queens. Results from matches played today in the ARDOVA Handball League. It ends on Sunday. That's the grand finale where we will crown new champions in the men and women's Handball Premier League and also be honoring the past heroes of the sport. We'll be speaking with the president of the Nigerian Handball Federation, Sam Ocheho. Thank you so much for your time. Hopefully you will come back. Hopefully. It will take 2 years before you come back.
Don't worry, it will take 2 years.
Okay. Fantastic. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for your time.